F&W Game Club, Episode 4.
Welcome to F&W Game Club Episode 4. Today we're going to be talking about the most awesome game, at least according to me, Pony Island.
The weirdest game I ever played.
Not to be confused with another Pony Island game that Jose played for a little bit before he realized he was playing the wrong game.
Yes, there's actually a pony breeding game online, so you guys need to watch out for that.
And it's not hentai?
No, it is not.
No, Pony Island. Now, this is a tough game to sort of describe. It's sort of meta, right? It's purposely playing around with your head. It's not what it seems to be at first, although it kind of makes that clear very quickly.
Yeah. Breaks the fourth wall.
Yeah, I love fourth wall breaking. You know, this is definitely... It's hard to define the category, but it definitely belongs in whatever category we'd call Stanley Parable and Beginner's Guide, where you're not just playing a game, but the game is almost playing you a little bit.
Exactly, yeah.
Yeah.
It felt weird just playing this game.
Yeah, Jose was really... He did not like it. It made him feel weird.
It did, yeah.
You felt tingles in new spots? You felt like you're...
I felt weird just because some of the actions that the game asks you to do just kind of put my faith, I guess.
You felt ethically and morally and religiously challenged?
Exactly. Like, oh, man, I'm doing something wrong. I'm going to hell for this kind of deal. So,
I loved it. And I'm far more holy than Jose is, so don't worry about it, kids. It's totally fine. But... So, Jose, how would you describe the game?
Oh my gosh, a puzzle game, right? That definitely challenges you your
to think outside the box, for sure,
and to also challenge you, like, what would you do in certain situations, kind of thing. Like, who do you trust, right? Like, because at the end of the game, I'm like, oh, I don't know who I trust after all this, you know. So. Yeah, it was kind of a weird game like that.
Yeah, it definitely made you question whether you're doing the right thing the whole time. It did a really good job of just making everything uncomfortable, right? Like, that was its game mechanic, was making you uncomfortable almost.
Exactly, yeah.
And I love the weirdness of it. There's definitely the game is about as long as it should be. It needs to be about 2 hours, and then it needs to end, and that's about what it is, depending on how fast you get through puzzles.
Yeah.
Because I think by the time I was done with the game, I was done with the game. Like, it needed to end at that point.
You're just over it?
Yeah. The ending, by the way, which we won't actually talk about, I loved. I loved the ending. The ending was for what it is. It was the perfect ending. Right? Do you agree?
Yeah, I agree. I mean, it was just a head scratcher, like, oh my gosh, you know. It was a good ending. I really enjoyed that ending.
And that's a weird thing, because... And I make point of that right now because I realize there's not a lot of indie games I can say that about. There's plenty of indie games that are great games and have great gameplay, but very few indie games make me say that was a great ending.
Yeah,
because honestly, plot arcs aren't much part of indie games right now, and this game has excellent plot arc to it.
Exactly, yeah. And then, like, the pacing of the game is also really, really good.
Yeah,
like, it never felt like I was kind of, you know, it slowed down or anything. It just felt like I was playing through the game, and it had a good steady flow to it, and it was just really good.
Yeah,
I really enjoyed that about it.
And it was so perfectly weird so often, and always asking you to sort of think outside the box or break tradition with how you usually play or do things on a computer. There's a few times when it tricks you excellently. I like that one part in the game, and again, we won't give away too much, but I love that one point in the game when you're going face to face with a certain character, and he says, "We're going to test whether you can pay attention to me or not."
Oh my gosh, yeah.
Was that not amazing?
Yep, and oh my gosh, the way the game sets it up.
Yeah.
It really does a good job at distracting you, and you're thinking, like, oh my gosh, what's going on here?
Right, because I was thinking, okay, stupid. Of course, I'm going to just stare at this guy the whole time. Yeah. It's going to be so easy. I'm gonna break this game right now. That's what I was thinking. And then it broke me.
Yeah.
It did some really awesome things to just ruin you. It was,
exactly, yeah.
I played this game in bed with my wife sleeping next to me. I had my laptop on my lap, and there was many times I had to stifle my laughter, right? Because I was amazed by how great this game was. and I'm so happy it exists.
Mm-hmm.
And since I'm thinking about it right now, I want to make sure I mention this. The person who Mullins Games makes this game,
Mm-hmm.
and they have a new game on the way, and it's called The Hex.
Okay.
And you can read or see more about it at the not / what do you call it? A hyphen, I guess.
Yeah.
the-hex.com. And it's sort of a murder mystery game that stars video game tropes.
Oh, okay, nice.
And apparently you have some limited control over their minds,
Mm-hmm.
but it's still a murder mystery game about whodunit.
Nice.
So it looks really cool.
I will check that out, yeah.
Yeah, and it's one of those things where the trailer looked all right,
Mm-hmm.
but knowing what I know about Pony Island,
Yes.
I know that this trailer probably doesn't show much at all. Because the Pony Island trailer didn't show anything at all either.
Exactly, yeah.
So, and then when you get into it, you're like, whoa, right?
Yeah.
So, super excited about the Hex. Now, Chris, you didn't get to play as much as us because you have life. But was what you did play, do you have any thoughts about it?
I absolutely loved it. I'm so glad that somebody's out there making games like this and kind of challenging the idea of what a game is.
Right.
And just thinking so far outside the box.
Yeah. And not only think you're right, challenging what a game is, but also at the same time playing with really old-timey sort of game patterns.
Yeah.
Like in the sense, I remember I was watching you start it up, Chris, and we see the start menu, the start game, and you clicked on start game and it didn't work. And
Right.
you said, one of these kinds of games, huh? Right? And it's it perfectly sort of captures some of the things we experienced in old games.
Yeah.
But then
the
flipped.
8-bit or 16-bit era.
They had the 8-bit, the 16-bit era, some of the glitches that came with those games, especially if you played on PC. I mean, the NES tended to be a pretty solid machine,
Mm-hmm.
but if you played old 8-bit PC games, back then they ran like trash.
Yeah.
PC has come a long way since then, but at the time they were always really glitchy and awful, and it flips all of that on its head. And one of my favorite early on things is the first time Pony Island loads, it takes a long time.
Yeah.
And then at a certain point in the game, you're sort of contending with somebody who's programming Pony Island.
Mm-hmm.
And when you load the game again, he says, now with faster loading, and everything loads really fast. It was so perfect.
Yeah, and I like that, throughout the game, suppose this person is also creating things.
Right.
And, it changes the gameplay.
It becomes
as well.
a race between how fast you can break what he's trying to make.
Exactly, yeah.
And that was super good. I loved that.
Yeah, and then there's I won't spoil anything. It's just a really good game.
Yeah. We definitely don't want to spoil the plot, but it's a game that, unfortunately, it doesn't probably video very well, right?
Mm-hmm.
So people are watching the video right now. They're watching the first 8 to 10 minutes of our gameplay.
Yeah.
And you probably see some cool things, some creative things, but it's definitely about your personal experience. I certainly wouldn't watch through this whole game in a Let's Play.
Yeah.
You need to interact yourself,
Mm-hmm.
including with some of your dialogue options and stuff.
Oh, yeah.
Chris did the video for this,
Uh-huh.
and he when you have to start talking on Messenger to people, Chris's responses were so good. So dry and sarcastic, so perfect. But the game lets you sort of do that, and they did a good job of writing it so it seems like they're really responding to what you say.
Uh-huh.
I don't know what they did to figure that out, but their simple responses feel like they are responding to you, even though it's probably the same responses every time.
Yeah.
Not quite a Turing test.
Right, not quite a Turing test. And yeah.
So where would you put this game category-wise? Would it be considered like a horror story?
Yeah, I definitely horror has to be part of it.
Okay.
It's not survival horror, obviously, because there's no survival elements.
Okay, yeah.
Right.
So the title's kind of deceiving a little bit, right?
Yeah, I would say almost like
Everything's deceiving in this game.
True. But
Yeah.
I mean, I think
because
what I'm trying to say.
even changed genres in the Pony Island game a number of times.
Yeah,
remember?
you're right. Yeah.
But
Either way, like if it is kind of like a horror game, I like the fact that it introduces new things to this kind of genre, right? Like,
yeah.
In other kind of horror games, you're trying to survive through doing different things like collecting items or
Right.
certain things like that. what comes into my mind is like Resident Evil,
Right.
right? But now with this game, it just like it's me against this entity, right? And it's
Right.
like a really good change in a genre like that.
Yeah.
So.
You might even call it a fourth wall breaking test of minds, right? Test of will.
Yeah.
Because it definitely you do that one-on-one quite a few times in that game.
Exactly. Yeah.
I remember like against Asmodeus was like one of the really big ones. And I think there's a few things I might have missed because I remember before I ran into Asmodeus, I accidentally came across somebody else I think it was called Booer or something like that. And he said, make sure you mention my name to Asmodeus. And I realized I never did.
Oh.
So I wonder what would have happened if I had done that.
Nice.
Yeah, there's just these little things all throughout it that you can totally bypass by accident.
Nice.
But I loved playing it. It was, I don't want to put too much emphasis on the horror aspect because certainly like it makes sense to call it somewhat horror, but I never felt like truly afraid or anything like that, and there was never any jump scares either.
True. Yeah.
But there was a certain sense of creepiness at times.
I was playing it at night.
Yeah.
And I was home alone.
With the headset on.
Exactly.
It's like when I played the PT demo, and I remember thinking, okay, this is my first time playing through it. I'm going to sit down and get really close to the TV. I'm going to turn off the lights, put on headphones, right, and play the PT demo. And then like 1 minute in, I get up, I turn the lights on, I push the seat back, I take my headphones off.
Yeah.
I'm like, this is the way I'm going to play the rest of this.
That's exactly what I did with this game, except I kept the headphones on. But like 10 minutes into the game, I turned on the light and I was like, all right, I'm going to play like this now. But it was a great game. I really loved that game.
So do we even need to vote on this one?
No, we always need to vote if not just to give it kudos, So I definitely, it's $4.99, which is a steal for such a well put together 2-hour game.
Yeah. I think you can play it in 2 hours for sure. If not quicker, probably.
Probably.
Yeah. So for $5, I would vote yes, get it.
$5.
That's a good deal.
Yep. That's a yes for me.
I'm going to go a step ahead and I'm going to say throw in the extra $1, whatever it is, to get the soundtrack with the game on Steam.
Nice.
Yeah.
Yeah,
help 'em out.
It's actually less than $1.
Oh, okay.
So it's like $5.90 something, I think, or $79.
Yeah, and also get the $50 DLC season pass. I'm kidding. There's no. That's
I was
just
like,
kidding.
what?
Just has some of those I know. There's no season pass. That's not that kind of game.
So you should check it out for sure, definitely.
Yeah, and also go check out Mullins Games. Those are the developer. I'm not sure. I think it's mostly programmed by one guy, and then he maybe has a little bit of help with sound, he said in his description. But other than Daniel Mullins Games, also check out The Hex, which will be his follow-up to this game, and I think I'm looking forward to that. I can't wait for... We'll make The Hex, we'll make it the game of the week it comes out, so we can really jump on that bandwagon for sure.
Definitely.
Yeah. All right, well... thanks for joining us for Game Club this week. It was really cool talking about what's the name of it? Pony Island.
Yes.
And also look forward to the next games. What's the next game, Chris? It's your game?
Little Rescue Machines.
Yeah, and then after that is Mount Your Friends. And I told them to figure out what our next game would be, but they totally didn't figure it out. So did you get the name of that game you were talking about, Chris?
No, not yet.
We'll
look for it.
We'll be sure to update you.
Or vote for Undertale.
In the next week. Oh, there's Undertale.
Yeah.
Yeah, let's just make it Undertale.
Okay.
Week 3 will be Undertale.
All right,
awesome.
cool.
From here. So, all right, thanks. See you later.
Bye.